Minds and Never Fade, which is coming out October 15th.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes. Mm-hmm. That's 2 Tuesdays from now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so soon. I can't even believe it.
Are you really excited? I don't think nervous excited.
I'm nervous excited. I keep thinking it's not coming out until December because it's coming out like less than a year after The Darkest Minds.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's like 9 months instead of a full 12 months. So don't complain that you had to wait a long time for it.
You didn't.
I edited it as fast as I could. It's so long.
Well, I was so surprised that they had them at BEA.
I try not to read reviews because I think like it just gets into your head too much. Like even if someone really likes it, then like for the third book, I'm like, what if it doesn't live up to their expectations? And that's like a really hard mental state to be in when you're trying to tell a story. But it's been like, I'm glad that so far it looks like people are enjoying it. So I hope you guys do too.
Oh, no, I think everyone will enjoy it.
That's right, you read it, so she can tell you.
So the first thing I have here is, do you listen to any music before you write to like get you in the zone? Is there like stuff you do?
Yeah, so I have playlists. You can find them on my website. Literally, that is the music I listen to when I write. So there are certain songs that I've found that when I sit down to write, I like listen to this one song first, and it like helps me kind of, I don't know, like it helps switch my brain. Yeah, or like get refocused back into this world. So like with Never Fade, it was the song Sea of Love by The National, which is an amazing song.
I listen to that.
So I would listen to that song first, and then it would just kind of like shuffle through my playlist.
Was there like a moment where you were struck with the idea for The Darkest Minds? Were you like watching Heroes and like, that would be cool if that was kids?
There wasn't like an exact moment. I've always wanted to write a story like this. Kids on the run, kind of from like the evil government. That's a pretty traditional story, and I think they're really fun to read, so I wanted to try to write it. And then it ended up being very dark. It's fun, but like not like super fun time. Like it's not like super lighthearted. Like went to a much darker place than I expected. But a lot of it is just the book is filled with things that I love. So like classic rock and like road trips in Virginia. I went to college in Virginia, and I'm like very familiar with the route that they drive because my dad was like a huge Civil War buff.
Oh,
so
you talk about that in the book that they are. Ruby's dad is like that, right?
Yeah, I think it's like her dad or her mom. I can't remember.
One of them is.
One of them is. And so they go on like historical road trips. But there's like a huge like Civil War trails network that you can like drive. And so every summer, like when my dad was taking me back to college, he'd be like, let's go out a week early so we can go to Antietam. Let's go here. It was like so awesome for him.
So do you have a favorite of your own characters? Is there a favorite person you like to write dialogue for?
I should say Ruby, but my secret fave, sorry Ruby, is Chubbs. Chubbs is like my favorite character.
Chubbs is so lovable.
I know, and I think it's because he's so high strung and he's like so easy to rile up, which like the other characters do. I think the reason why he amuses me so much is I can so clearly picture his reaction, like his face as he is saying these things, and it like just makes me laugh. And Zoo is fun to write, but Zoo is hard because she doesn't speak, so it's like she's so quiet that when I was writing, I would like sometimes forget that she was in the scene. So I would be like, have to go back in and be like, and Zoo was over here doing this.
Did you always know that you wanted to, you said you always know you wanted to be an author. That was like, as a kid and such.
Yeah, when I was like in 3rd grade, my teacher, Mrs. Weiler, had us make like, did you do anything like this where she was kind of trying to teach us about stories and how to tell a story? So we like wrote out our own story, and then she would take like cardboard and that like drawer liner stuff that's like sticky, and she like would bind the books for us that we made.
I did do that. Like you write a story and then they do the book binding and it looked like a real book.
Yeah, I was like
really
obsessed with this activity. I tried to make my mom do it for me at home. Like I was gonna write this whole series about the different planets in the solar system, and my mom was like, let's stop at Mercury.
Which of your characters do you feel like you most relate to?
That's tough. I feel like they each have like a little bit of my personality. Like Liam has my kind of weird sense of humor. Chubbs and I can both be like a little bit high strung at times. I will admit this about myself. Zoo has like my love of all things girly, and if I could dress like any character, it would be her. I'm like with her when she wants that pink dress very badly.
That seems so adorable.
Yeah, and actually, My agent once had a funny conversation with me about the fact that the book is very dark and I present myself as like wearing pink and purple and blue and look at my sparkly necklace. And she's like, there seems to be a disconnect between
the book and you.
So now I just wear black when I go to book signings.
So this question, I get this a lot on my book talk about it. People are kind of confused about the Children's League. What exactly was their initial motivation in forming? Was it to stop them from taking the children, or?
Yeah, so the Children's League, you'll learn a lot more about them in Never Fade. Spoiler, like, you will see, you'll see, like, where they are in Los Angeles. Ruby kind of points out to you, they did start meaning to expose the truth about the camps and, like, talk about how they're not actually rehabbing the kids. They're just kind of holding them there and, like, hoping the people who are conducting the research figure out what's going on. When they realized that they really were not making any progress on that front, they shifted into focusing more on just taking down President Gray, but they kept the same name. So Ruby talks a lot about how it's ironic that they won't really do anything to help the kids, even though they say that they're, like, the Children's League.
In a way, I think they help them by, like, honing their powers and such.
Yeah, you'll see that there's, like, a little bit of a training program, but they're training the kids to run their mission. So it's sort of like you're empowering the kids to help yourself.
Yeah.
So they're not totally selfless. So you will learn more about the Children's League, and you'll also learn more about the Skip Tracer Network.
Was there any scenes in either of the books that you found really hard to write? Was it really hard to write that last scene that just tore us all apart?
I was also really excited to write that scene because I, like, knew from the very beginning, the first draft, that like, ending has never changed. It was always going to be that way. And not to, like, toot my own horn, but I felt like that was the perfect ending for the book. Like, it was unexpected. It was, like, heart-wrenching, I hope. People.
Yes.
Yes. I'm glad that you guys have liked it. There's a scene, too, in Never Fade that I remember tweeting after I wrote it. I was like, this is literally the worst thing I have ever done to a character. And I can't really talk about it, but you'll know.
Which one is it?
It's the one where
you finished book 3.
I finished book 3.
That's very exciting.
I'm a little nervous because, again, it feels different than Never Fade and The Darkest Minds. But there are certain...
It has to change.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of keep evolving the story. But I think you guys will like it because it has certain elements of Darkest Minds. And it doesn't have a road trip element, which I know.
Are we going to see Zoo?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. This is, like, evil thing you're doing.
I know.
Maybe.
I can't even help
stroke
myself.
my beard.
Maybe I should have been a Slytherin. Like.
Oh, also, in time. That novella, I don't read that many novellas. That one, I was not expecting to turn...
Right? I mean, okay.
Rip my heart out at the end.
When I sent that to my editor, she was like, you really undersold this one. Because I was like, I don't know if people are going to be super into the fact that it's, like, this rando character that I'm bringing in, and then, like, eventually you find out that it's, spoiler, Zoo. But yeah, and then the ending actually broke my heart more than the ending of The Darkest Minds. So
okay, I'm reading it like, who the hell is this?
He's so mean.
I know.
This is, like, one of the few projects that I felt like I really surprised my editor with, like, the little revelation about who Della is. Like, when, like, Zoo writes her the note and, like, gives it to her.
My god, I, like, broke into tears when that happened. I didn't just...
I think her comment in Word was like, OMG, crying.
I just broke into tears, like, multiple times. Do you have, like, a dream cast if there was a movie?
Not really. I had, like, kind of photos that, like, represented the characters' like spirit more than their actual looks. This is, like, an ongoing thing on my Tumblr, like, who would you cast? Yeah, I get asked this question, like, once a week, and I'm like, I really don't know. You guys decide. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm trying to think who everyone loves for Liam. It's
that Hannah Montana kid.
Yeah, the Hannah Montana. What is his name?
I don't know. I'm thinking Liam now because is it Luke? It's Luke, I think. Maybe.
He's been, like, almost cast in every single major YA franchise. What is it? Crap, what is his name?
Lucas Hill?
Lucas Till.
Lucas Till.
Sorry, Lucas Till.
Got it.
Lucas Till, this franchise is waiting for you. And then, like, Ruby's an ongoing debate. The actual
Ruby's hard because she could be a lot of different looks.
Yeah, she really could be. The one that I really liked was the girl from Once Upon a Time, and actually she was in The Tudors too. What is her name? I don't know her name
Maybe
either.
I've seen a picture on your Tumblr.
But she plays like Princess Aurora, and which is the complete opposite of Ruby. But and like Zoo and Chubbs are so hard to find, like figure out.
Chubbs I like think of as like, a more attractive Urkel.
If any of you watch the West Wing, he reminds me of like a young Dule Hill, like who plays Charlie on the West Wing.
I haven't seen the West Wing.
Oh, you should. It's
I
all
know.
on Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix?
Yeah, they
didn't
put it on
realize that.
Netflix. You can marathon like all 10 seasons.
Oh man. So this is the arc. It's soft cover and it has blue stuff on it.
Yeah, like the image is just like very flat and kind of.
Let's compare it to the real book. Oh,
The
look
finish-
how pretty.
Look how shiny it is. The
It's
camera can barely
so
capture
shiny.
its magnificence. It's so pretty.
It has like a really different feel than the Darkest Minds one, which is like really daunting, and this one looks more like hopeful, kind of.
Yeah, I'm like
compass.
totally curious, like what someone who like has never read The Darkest Mind is gonna think this book is about when they pick it up off the shelf. They're gonna be like, oh, it looks like a fantasy epic quest.
Yeah, with the
through
compass.
snow. I'm excited for everyone to meet the new characters and to perhaps see some old faves. It's a lot darker, if possible, than The Darkest Minds. Ruby goes like a little bit dark side, perhaps. Perhaps it's a good
more
way to put it.
intense.
Yeah. She doesn't have quite as many qualms about using her abilities on people. So
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Like she takes things into her
Yeah.
hands.
Then the debate is how far is too far, or is just having this ability too far to begin with?
Like, when are you Clancy?
Yeah, when do you become Clancy? When one of my friends started reading The Darkest Minds, like the way I had described how Clancy dressed, like super preppy and just like put together, despite the fact he's living in like a camp. She was like, "Wow, he's like so cute." I'm like, or like the people who I see who are reading and are like, "Oh God, this is gonna be a love triangle, isn't it?" Nope.
No.
If you haven't, I would definitely reread at least like the last 5 chapters of The Darkest
I
Minds.
saw you tweet that.
Yeah, it's been really interesting because on Goodreads, like I said, I try not to read reviews for the most part because it's just like makes you crazy. But I like wanted to see like, oh, like what's the general sense? Like, are people totally hating this book? And they're not. There have been so many people being like, I had no idea this was the second book in a series, so it was like a little confusing at first, but I got along fine. And then there are other
Wait, they
reviewers.
just read it without reading
Yeah,
the other
I
one?
was
Why did you do that? How could you? Like, really?
So there is like a little bit of recapping, but it's like The Empire Strikes Back, and that it's like kind of thrust you back in, and you're like, oh yeah.
This is just was so unexpected, like the way it went.
It's a little bit twisty. That's why I've been a little bit sad about reviewers like spoiling certain parts of it. I'm like, no, like whoever reads this isn't gonna be surprised by this thing I killed myself to figure out how to surprise readers about. They're excited, and I'm excited. So in the end, everyone's still excited.
Yeah.
But I'm like, don't spoil it. Yeah, but I feel like there are a couple really good gotchas in this one.
Yeah, there are. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
being on
having
the
me.
video.
This was so much
I'm
fun.
glad I got to hear all your like inside info here.
Anytime.
I'm Christine. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at AlexTeenMay. Alex is on Twitter. What's your Twitter?
At Alex Bracken.
If you haven't read The Darkest Minds
Do it quickly.
and you are watching this, do it. I hope I didn't spoil too much. We didn't
Sorry.
really. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.